how does an idea originally intended as a movie end up as one of the strangest failures on primetime TV? Out of that came a cop spoof from the team behind Airplane, loaded with hilarious stupidity, constant piss-taking, and a network that didn't know what to do with it. So how did an Emmy-nominated comedy with so much potential get binned after only 4 weeks, then end up becoming The Naked Gun? Let's find out. This is the history of Police Squad.
They're out to clean up the streets and put the knockout on crime.
It was the early 70s when writers and filmmakers Jim Abrams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker formed the live sketch comedy group Kentucky Fried Theater that led the trio who would later become known as Zaz to the Kentucky Fried Movie, and the success of that film pushed them towards something bigger. That next big thing came from 0 Hour, a 1950s air disaster film that gave them the plot they ripped off to build Airplane. After that, they moved away from planes, panic, and people acting like idiots and started looking at old cop shows. The main one was M Squad, a 1950s black and white police series starring Lee Marvin, which became the thing they wanted to twist into something much stupider. But there was a problem. They couldn't figure out a plot that would stretch across a full movie. That's when Paramount president Michael Eisner, who had produced shows like Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley, told them he could get 6 episodes on the air if they took the idea to television. Zaz agreed at first, and they even filmed one of the title sequences as part of the pitch. But then they realized they didn't want to do a TV show. They went back to Eisner the next day and told him they didn't want to do it, but he had already pitched it to ABC, and the network was going ahead. All they wanted was the show to have a slightly more conventional tone and add a laughing track. When the trio heard it, they weren't having it, and they straight out refused. And you'd think that would have killed it. ABC backed down and Police Squad was born. Frank Drebin was the main attraction, a useless muppet who somehow functioned as a cop working through cases that dragged him and his partner Norberg into complete chaos. Running the squad was Captain Ed Hoken, the one bloke trying to keep everything under control. Then you had Ted Olson, the lab man messing with the clues, and Johnny the Snitch, the shoe-shine informant who always had the right information if the price was right. To make this work, Zaz needed serious actors, not comedians. Initially, they looked at Robert Stack as the lead, but he wasn't interested in playing an idiot. So they turned to Leslie Nielsen, who had already worked with them on Airplane, where his delivery turned his lines into comedy gold. For the role of his partner, the producers brought in Peter Lupus, already known from Mission Impossible. The rest of the squad was filled out by Alan North as Captain Ed Hoken and Ed Williams as Ted Olson, while William Duell, who had already appeared in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, played Johnny the Snitch. The cast also included Rex Hamilton as Abraham Lincoln and familiar faces in the opening titles who were killed off before the story even started. Now, while the cast was being sorted, the producers brought in composer Ira Newburn to work on the score. He looked back at old cop shows, especially M Squad, and built the theme that became part of the show's identity, before later following it onto the big screen in The Naked Gun. The opening titles also brought in Hank Sims to read each episode title with a full serious voice, except the title he said never matched the one on screen.
Tonight's episode, A Bird in the Hand.
When the show premiered in March '82, it pulled in decent numbers, and across the next couple of episodes, it landed in the middle of the pack of the ratings. ABC had it sitting at 8 PM, replacing Mork and Mindy, while critics for once were already getting what the suits upstairs clearly didn't. Tom Shales from the Washington Post called the premiere cheerful and refreshingly ridiculous, while the Hollywood Reporter said the show hit its police show target with uncanny accuracy. The industry took notice as well. the show picked up 2 Emmy nominations, with Leslie Nielsen nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series.
That makes me the winner. Buddy Briggs belongs to me now, but just to make it nice and legal, I brought along a bill of sale. Sign it.
Behind the scenes, the first episode was written and directed by the trio themselves. Once the pilot was done, the rest of the run brought in more writers, with Pat Profit coming in to write the 3rd episode after already knowing the trio from the Kentucky Fried Movie and Airplane. The same run also brought in Robert Wall, who co-wrote the 2nd and 6th episodes with Tino Insana. With the writing team spreading out, the directing side opened up as well, with Joe Dante coming in to direct for the first time. Now, while the show was still on the air, the opening title death gag ran into a problem. John Belushi had filmed a guest star death scene with him tied to concrete blocks underwater. Belushi though passed away, and the footage was dropped before the episode aired. Then came a weird bit of outside noise. A National Coalition on Television Violence study named ABC the most violent commercial network and listed Police Squad amongst its most violent shows. Meanwhile, while all of this was happening, ABC already gave up on their little experiment. The ratings weren't terrible, but they weren't strong enough for the kind of slot ABC gave it. Once the 4th episode aired, the suits upstairs took the decision to axe the show from the schedule and dumped the final 2 episodes in July '82. ABC Entertainment president Tony Thomopoulos said the show failed because viewers had to pay too much attention to get the humor. On the other hand, Leslie Nielsen thought the same material worked better on cinema. Joe Dante said ABC didn't know what to do with it, especially since it looked like an old rerun and didn't tell people when to laugh. Now, even after it got binned, Paramount still looked for ways to squeeze more money out of the show, with one idea being to cut some of the finished episodes into a movie with new linking footage. The writers also had more material than the show ever got to use, including an unproduced 7th script called Testimony of Terror, while there was talk of making more episodes for HBO, but that didn't go anywhere.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, buddy, play it stupid.
I don't care, you hear me? I don't want to end up dead in some lock.
Police Squad stayed alive through home media and cable reruns. The home media side started in 1985 when Paramount released the series on VHS across 2 volumes. The full series didn't arrive on DVD till 2006, when all 6 episodes were collected with commentaries, bloopers, production notes, and a Leslie Nielsen interview. Police Squad then came to Blu-ray in 2020, giving people another chance to piss themselves laughing. Now, for fans who want to add the series to their collection, I've added a link in the description below, and there should be a card popping up on screen to help you check it out.
Leslie Nielsen is the new breed of cop stepping into the 80s when Police Squad hits the streets, premiering March 4th.
Now, the trio behind it weren't done with the character of Frank Drebin or making comedies. David Zucker later said they wanted to go back to the Airplane-style spoof. So Police Squad was reworked as a movie and pitched to Frank Mancuso at Paramount, with Zaz calling it the easiest pitch they ever did. From that came The Naked Gun from the files of Police Squad. It arrived in 1988, keeping Frank Drebin while bringing in Priscilla Presley as Jane Spencer. It also changed part of the squad, with George Kennedy coming in as Ed Hoken and O.J. Simpson playing Nordberg. This time, the audience turned up, critics went for it, and the success pushed it into a second film, The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear. That arrived in '91 and made even more money than the first film. The critics though weren't quite as warm, but audiences still showed up, so Paramount made the third film. The main cast returned again, but the numbers dropped, the reaction wasn't as strong, and even though it still made money, the franchise had run out of steam. After the movies made their money and the show got the respect it deserved, the cast moved on in different ways. Leslie Nielsen stayed close to spoof comedy with films like Dracula, Dead and Loving It, Wrongfully Accused, and Scary Movie 3 and 4 before passing away in 2010. Alan North kept working across film and TV until he passed away in 2025. Priscilla Presley stayed tied to the Naked Gun trilogy, but her wider screen career stayed smaller. George Kennedy, on the other hand, kept working as one of those proper old-school character actors up until his death in 2016. After that, Frank Drebin disappeared for years, but the legacy of Police Squad carried on elsewhere. In 2013, TV Guide ranked it at number 7 on its list of shows cancelled too soon. And in 2014, the Online Film and Television Association inducted the series into its Television Hall of Fame.
Large amount of money. You think you make enough to keep her in the lifestyle she's accustomed to?
The franchise tried coming back again years later, when Paramount started developing a reboot in 2013. That version went nowhere, but the next serious push brought in Seth MacFarlane, Liam Neeson, and Pamela Anderson. The new version of Naked Gun arrived in 2025, and critics mostly went with it, and audiences were kinder than expected. At the end of it, a 6-episode show binned in 1982 ended up lasting longer and leaving a bigger legacy than most of the shows that actually got renewed. And that's why for me, Leslie Nielsen is a legend and Police Squad is bloody brilliant. Cancelling it after 4 episodes was idiotic, but The Naked Gun gave it a second life, and the movies proved there was still a proper audience for Frank Drebin. The first movie is easily the best, the second one is still good, and the third one is alright. But as for the new one, I'm gonna be honest, I'm scared to watch it, because modern revivals just ruin everything. Next time, we take a look at another classic series. Until then, why don't you check out our previous episode on The Young Riders. Thanks for watching, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.